Hi everyone, I'm Judge Desire for Knowledge and you are watching Legal Matters. I usually do Legal Matters once a month. Thanks for joining me, Judge Desire for Knowledge, JD4K family. It's good to see you all here. I'm not live today. Legal Matters I usually tape. I was going to go live. However, I can't at this point. So I have events again today and I need to get this. Hopefully it'll get up by 3. But I'm doing Legal Matters. I do my show on Legal Matters monthly and my Know Your Truth Real Talk every Saturday at 3 p.m. here on YouTube. So join me there, either live or taped, mostly live. But this summer has been really high activity for me, so I've been out and about. And with that high activity going out and about, I'm not able to, depending on the time of the festivities, I have to tape instead of going live. Now, if I'm able to go live at these events, it would be without music because of the the copyright laws on music, so I'm not able to do so. So I'm glad that you guys come and check me out, whether I'm live or taped. If you see me anywhere in New York or on my travels, please come and say hello, Judge Desire for Knowledge, how you doing? Because I'd like to say hi to you and see who you are and who my viewers are and who pays attention. So today I'm talking about on Legal Matters. First, please subscribe, share, subscribe, and like, or like, subscribe, and share. Which one? Both, I should say. I really would appreciate that. All right. I really would. The things that I do on my shows is I try to be informative on the Legal Matters show about laws. I'm not an attorney nor a judge, but I have the background and experience because I work in the system. I also enjoy giving my experiences within that system to help others get through whatever application processes or whatever they need to do within the system to get their things moving forward, their cases moving forward, which you don't need an attorney to start a case unless it's criminal. Most of us basically can do pro se. Pro se meaning that you represent yourself and you do your own case without an attorney if it's not affordable to you. There's also legal aid if you make under the income. They'll either charge you less or I believe there's grants that pay for it. I'm not sure. But either way, you get represented. Representation is always good, whether it's yourself or our counselors out there who study law and other professionals. So basically, I'm doing Legal Matters show because of the qualifications I have, and also when I do Know Your Truth Real Talk, that's my talk show where we get together and bring to the table everything that we need to learn together or we've experienced together, and what's the result, what's the resolution of it in the process of having went through it, and how can we resolve it to become better people. So basically it's a self-empowerment, self-improvement channel. Please come watch it every Saturday at 3. And so we shall begin. I shall use my gavel. We shall begin this time of Legal Matters. My subject today is disciplining children versus abuse, and know the difference. It's very important to know the difference between disciplining a child and the abuse of a child. And a lot of people don't know the differences, and so I'm going to try to decipher that for you today, because we live in a time that discipline can be misinterpreted as abuse within the justice system. And what we consider discipline, not everyone agrees. And they don't agree with disciplining children either. So some people, they don't discipline their children, and some people do. Some people have different methods of disciplining their children. So this show here, this Legal Matters episode, I decided to actually do it for children, the abuse, discipline versus the abuse, so that you can get an idea of what it looks like. So on this episode, we'll discuss the difference between the two. There are various ways to discipline and punish children. So some parents use the timeout method, and this timeout method is like sending the child on timeout. Is where the child is excused for the moment to recollect their thoughts and what they have done that was against the rules in the household, so they can reflect on their decisions. Now, when I say child, it could be child, children, or teenager, young adult, whomever is living in the household that is under the age of 17. All right, we're going to use that number today. Oh, if you want to use legal, 18, okay? Um, we're talking about children to young adulthood, all right? So this applies to them, all right? Another method is, so that was timeout. Number one, it was timeout. And another method is to take away a child's favorite toys or games or whatever it is that they do. Also, like, the third would be also like taking away a child's playtime, for example. Yeah, TV, gameplay, phone privileges, if they're in their teenage years, or if you have a child that has a phone under teenage years, then phone privileges, no social activities, no company coming over, meaning no going out to play for some or see their friends. That's another method of way of discipline. A third one is, to me, is one of the toughest punishments of them all, is whipping a child. This is where the difference between discipline and abuse comes to play. So when we are whipping, because there's cultures that they do discipline their child by whipping, and it is in the Bible, do not spare the rod. And it doesn't mean that you beat your children half to death or anything. It means that sometimes, depending on your child, you'll know what you need to do with your child, and don't judge others that do whip them. Usually this message is used in extreme cases, such as an uncontrollable child, or a child who's aggressive or hits their parents, a child who controls their parents, because we've seen them using verbal or physical abuse. I'm utilizing all these things as examples from what I've seen in the courthouse, family court. That was the first part of the court that I've worked at when I began my career in the New York State court system. So what I wanted to say is, I've seen that in family court, so I'm able to give ideas about this, as well as neighborhoods when I've seen things happen. Using verbal or physical abuse, threats. These children are those type of children that usually, I don't want to say they deserve a whipping, but eventually, if you don't whip them, those type of children, the corrections facilities, the courts, and everyone will have a hand in your child. So I don't know which one is better for you. But for those that need, and only those, and in these circumstances, this method is used by a majority of parents to control the uncontrollable child or the young adult. So basically, I have seen, they call them JDs, juvenile delinquencies, who are given PIN, their person in need of supervision. So PIN pins. Usually, like my first time working in family court, I've never seen a child arrested, and I'm not talking about a teenager. This child did something, I can't remember, but it was so bad. First, you feel sorry for them, but then when you find out what they did, this child was cuffed from the foot, and the regular handcuff and foot cuffed, I should say, and that was really sad. But some children are uncontrollable, and family court is open somewhat like criminal court if they have to bring a child in. So we can go into this another time. I'm just gonna speak about what we're talking about now before I get out of the area of what I'm trying to lean on. I personally don't condone whipping a child. However, every child is different from another, and depending on their personality, this method might have to be applied. Not must, might. So that would be up to the individuals, the guardians, the parents that are actually in control, have custody of their children or grandchildren or whatever. I've seen it with grandparents that have custody that go through a lot. and sometimes this has to be their method, and it is what it is. So um, this this is what I usually call a method of punishment. Um, I'm sorry. Okay, so that what we just spoke about right now was actually abuse. Now punishment, a discipline. Sorry, I'm reading my notes to catch on to what I was trying to get to. Now this type of discipline of punishment is usually this part is not abuse. This part is the whipping part of what a child is a parent, individual, or a guardian is able to do without being arrested, I believe, unless it's taken out of hand. So the discipline of punishment for that whipping is also a pat on the wrist or hands lightly, a slap on the behind with a belt or your hand. All right, those are basically what we've seen. That's not uncontrollable. What constitutes abuse in the law, in the eyes of the law, and to most people, are these methods of punishments that I'm going to go through right now. Not the ones I just mentioned. Those should not have you in any situation with the law or any institution or advocacy group that protects children. BCW, none of that. But this one is mostly the worst type of methods used as punishment that is considered abuse, and I'm going to read them out now. Is one, slapping or punching a child in the face is abuse. All right, we cannot do that. If it's seen and or witnessed, then that is abuse and it should be reported. Number two, beating a child endlessly and profusively is abuse. Okay, so if you're constantly beating your child and you don't speak to your child or young adult, and it's always a constant beating, that is considered abuse. Number three is pushing or throwing a child around like a rag doll is abuse. You cannot treat your child like it's a doll, rag doll, or it's they're people too. They are a person, a little being. So in some cases they're young adults, teenagers. You cannot throw them around like a rag doll. That is abuse. Number four, using deadly force on a child or teen is abuse. So deadly force is anything that would seriously harm a child or a teen. All right, and we've seen these things happen. They're on TV, they're on the news, they're in shows. So I wanted to make sure I got that out. And another one is 5, using heavy equipment on child or teenage or children, such as an iron, plastic or electric cords, knives, because this does happen, throwing glass, dishes, TVs, or using anything that can cause seriously bodily harm is not disciplining a child. It's called abuse. So if any of these things is something that you've witnessed or you're going through, it's considered abuse. Your child, you're abusing your child, or you're going through child abuse. Just to let you know. And if you're watching this happen to a neighbor, friend, family, or whatever the case may be, that it needs to be reported, because most of these children do not end up well, mentally and physically, and some of them don't live or survive through it. If we don't get the proper channels involved, sometimes this can get out of hand. Now, there is also another one called verbal abuse, which is also harmful to the child. One is yelling at a child and cursing at them, especially in public, is abuse. No one can tell me that's not abuse. Because just like in domestic violence, there's physical and mental abuse. The same for children, child abuse. Nothing's different. It's all the same. 2, constantly demeaning a child is abuse. Okay. And 3, leaving a child locked up and unfed is also abuse. All right, so that's the difference between that and the type of abuse that we just mentioned earlier. I mean, discipline, and these latter in this episode are abuses. And like I said, there's physical and there's mental abuse as well. So these type of abuse interferes with a child's mental growth and can cause mental and self-esteem issues and other problems later on, if it hasn't already. And I suggest that instead of abusing your child, or if you've seen any children abused or individually have your custodian or anything and the child needs help, go get them the help they need. There's churches, pastors, there's also psychologists, therapists, and psychiatrists if you need one or your child need one, or group therapy together as a family. But that's the only way you can help each other through this, because if not, then the legal system will be able to interfere with them, and may arrest parents for these methods of abuse. Yep. You don't want that, because it's not a point of discipline. It is abuse. We have always seen people that use the system to lie about other people and their reasoning of discipline, and it has to be proven wrong by a judge, the truth finder. That's what judges are called, truth finder. They find out the truth, so that both parties will be coming together if there's a petition filed or if there's an accusation stated. It's not just going to go off like that. And believe me, I've seen where I know there's something I've seen before where, an ex has a child, and the child is going to the new ex's, the new person's home. I won't say anything about whom, what, or where, male or female. But the fact that they use the child and to call BCW on another family because that's no longer their family is sad. That's all I'm going to say about it. But you know what happened in the end? That same person, by doing what they did, calling BCW, went to them to check them out as well. And they weren't around. They weren't home. They were walking the street corners like they always do. So they wanted to do it to, jealousy and envy and things like that. And people play around with the system too much. We don't have time for games and taking in your games. If you can't keep your family together and it ends that way, don't go and ruin other people's lives because of it. Look in the mirror, check yourself. There's no reason for that. That's like children, like, grow up, because I've seen it and that was sad. I was like, wow, that person really has no life. It's sad. So what I'm trying to say here is, don't use the system, law enforcement, and BCW to hurt other people if the abuse is not there. Please use it for the right reasons, because the ones that are actually being abused aren't being called. They're not surviving because people aren't taking up the phone and doing the right thing when needed to do so. And the legal system will intercept if you do, to arrest those individuals who abuse children. Yeah, they will. They do that by utilizing BCW, like I just mentioned, except do it for the right reasons and not wrong reasons, because BCW and law enforcement will come back to you and you'll be in the position you wanted that person to be in. Life is fair. Karma is karma. I think everyone that does that deserves to get whatever is coming to them. And because you shouldn't be using the system on false pretenses. The system doesn't like it. We don't have time to waste on it. And we take everything seriously, all right? For the safety of children and livelihood and the general public. Because law enforcement and the courts as well as also will be interceding and on the behalf of a child for the safety of that child. So if you know a child or children or young teen or an adolescent, whatever, as long as they are under the age of 18, even after that you can. But if these are children we're talking about today are being abused by, get law enforcement or BCW involved and really know the truth that it's happening. That don't make calls that are not warranted, because you yourself will find yourself in trouble. They will know, especially if you witness this abuse or the child bears scars of abuse. It could be life threatening for a child. So your position as a citizen who a law-abiding citizen should and always protect the children. Your children would need protection, and so do other children. So if they bear the scars, and you know and you feel in your heart, law enforcement or BCW, they'll call BCW once they see if it's true, the accusations are true, because everything's alleged at first until it's proven guilty in the court of law. So basically, that's the story of today on just child discipline versus abuse. I hope you like that. This episode on my Legal Matters show. Please like, subscribe, and share. All right. I hope you all have a happy Saturday. Thanks for joining me, Judge Desire for Knowledge. And I have my things here. Yeah. Legal Matters has just adjourned with Judge Desire for Knowledge, and I hope to see you next week, Saturday, same time, maybe not the same place, but 3 o'clock. God willingly, I'll always try to get on time. I'm persistent on my consistencies. So it's a joy and a pleasure to be of service to you in giving you the information and having us grow and improving ourselves and empowerment as well. And definitely for the children that we need to save out there that are in need of your help. So take care. Blessings, love, and light. And ciao for now. See you on the next one.